Hello!
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So today we are joined with our friends, Aaron and Damien, who are you guys still considered Spirit of Topanga, or do you have a new name now for your new...
No, we're Spirit.
We're Spirit, yeah.
We were Topanga the bus, and then we switched to Spirit of Topanga because she's always with us in spirit.
Yeah.
It's like super cheesy, but
That's
works.
awesome.
I like it.
That's
we
awesome.
still wanted her to be with us some way, so.
Aw. And just a forewarning for those listening, we are both on campground Wi-Fi, so if there's lagging, that is why. Bear with us.
So, let's tell us a bit about yourselves so everyone can get to know you.
All right, so I'm Erin, and born and raised in New Hampshire, and I don't know, just kind of did the typical, what you're supposed to do, get married, buy a house, met this guy, and kind of opened up the whole, let's get out there and, live our lives, I don't know.
We did the rat race for a while.
Yeah.
And then we were in an apartment in Delaware, and
Living a horrible life.
well, it wasn't horrible, but not where we wanted to be, not able to travel and do things as much as we wanted. And we had almost like in a 1,000 square foot apartment, and we started living in only the living room of the apartment. We'd pull the mattress out and everything and just live in there. So started watching YouTube, and what was that one?
It was Expedition Happiness. We stumbled across, and it was this couple from Germany who came over here, built a school bus, and traveled from Alaska down to Argentina.
Dang.
And so we watched that, and we're like, no way, people live in buses? That's the coolest thing. To not have, you just take your house with you, and it's something that you build, and it's you.
So we were sitting in our apartment, drinking a beer, and we both looked at each other and was like,
it was the same thing, we thought.
Why don't we try to do this? And
so we worked really hard and saved for 8 months, and
quit our jobs, moved back to New Hampshire, bought a bus, renovated it in 3 months, and then got on the road.
Dang.
Jeez.
Yeah.
We left November of 2017, and we've been out ever since.
Wow.
And so just a little background, we met the Spirit of Topanga people at the Smoky Mountains last, what was that, April? Was that April?
I think it was May, April or May.
Yeah.
We went there to go backpacking. We're like, look at that bus.
Yes, because we were in the same mindset of, okay, because I had just moved into my camper that I was renting out for the season to save on rent, because it was so much cheaper to do that. And so we were already starting to get in that mindset of, okay, how do we do this more long term? How can we start backpacking and figure out how to actually make this a lifestyle? And then we were walking through the campground and we saw your bus, and we were just like, we have to talk to them. We have to figure out how they're doing this, what they're doing. Are they living out of it? We had so many questions. And so we came and hassled you guys, and you guys were so helpful and just such a big inspiration to us, and really helped us figure out
we usually
what type of rig we wanted and all of that stuff.
And we tell everyone about you guys.
Yeah.
You were the one of the sparks to this whole thing.
Yeah, for what we're
really
doing.
Sweet. That's really sweet, because I think when we first came up with this idea, everyone, all of our family was like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
That's the stupidest thing we've ever heard of. His parents, when we moved back to New Hampshire for the summer, we kept talking. We're like, we're going to buy a bus. This is what we're going to do. And your parents were supportive, but they were like, that's never going to happen. There's never going to be a bus in my backyard. And we went down to southern New Hampshire to this wholesaler that had buses, talked to them, found a bus that came up from the school district from Massachusetts, and we bought it. He drove it home. first time ever driving something that big. He's like flying down the highway. I couldn't even keep up with him in my car. I'm like, okay, this is scary. We literally backed into his parents' backyard. His dad drove past the house and slowed down. It was like the worst thing.
That's
And
hilarious.
I don't.
And he kept going. He didn't
He
pull
didn't
in.
even stop.
Like, nope. Nope.
And, I don't know. I think everyone thought it was a crazy idea, and like, how are you even going to make this work? And I don't even think we knew how we were going to make it work. We
Yeah.
just
winged it, really.
we're like, oh well, he'll get contracts doing his line of work, and I'll just work wherever. I can do dog walking, or I'll work at a bar or something. And I just think we're kind of caught up in this
fairy tale.
kind of.
Because I think a lot of social media makes it all the time. And after doing it for
Almost 2 years now.
Yeah, 2 years or so now, you realize that it is a lot of fun. You meet a lot of cool people and go cool places, but there's definitely times where it's not fun at all.
Mhm.
And it's not that fairy tale of everything's always perfect and it's great. And
Yeah.
I think, honestly, until we went to Tennessee after being on the road for 7 months doing what we're doing, you guys were really the first ones that were like, hey, that's cool, man. Like, I feel like we ran into a lot of people that was like, oh, that's unique. Like,
you guys were
okay.
what?
I don't know. We ran into a lot of
Like, that's where you live? You don't have a house?
Yeah. So to me, we met some cool people that were into it, and like, you guys were really the first ones like, can we really talk to you about this? I'm really interested. So that's really nice to like hear somebody else like into it.
We did meet a couple from Canada though that was living out of a VW bus with a rabbit.
Dang.
They weren't really like asking us questions about it. They were just doing their own thing. But
That's funny.
I think that is one thing that we do like about doing this lifestyles, because you meet people. Like, we still even keep in contact through postcards. Like, I like to keep in contact that way with people that we've met, campground owners, things like that.
Yeah.
And, like, we met, and it's kind of funny, you do see that when you're at different places, like the retired people,
right?
Like, we love hanging out with like the older folks.
In Arizona, we go play cards and bridge and stuff with the older people,
and they were so much fun. And I think that was one of the things that made us feel good about what we were doing also, was because they would every night be like, we're so happy that you're doing what you're doing.
We wish we did that.
We wish we did that.
And
I'm sure you guys hear that all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
It kind of like, it makes us think about that. It's like, I don't know. We're doing it now while we're young, and I don't know, I feel like the world's gonna something bad's gonna happen, and like all this beautiful stuff's not gonna be there, So I don't know. I'd rather do it now while I'm able instead of waiting till I'm.
Yeah. I mean, there's no rules to like being alive,
Exactly.
You just do whatever you want to do. Just who
as long
cares
as you're not harming
say.
anyone, and you're not doing anything bad.
If
like, just live your life how it best suits you.
Inspiring other people. Just be like, hey, you don't need to go buy a house. You don't need to do this thing. Just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had just gone down the path that I think is expected, I think from both of our families, you kind of live that. You have to buy the house. You have to have the family. And no fault to them, we don't definitely hold grudges that that's how they feel, that's how they want to live their life. That's fine.
We just don't.
We don't, and I don't think we would have been able to see half the stuff we've seen if we had done that.
Yeah.
I know they're like, you get your 2 weeks vacation every year. Just go places for that. And it's like, well, no, why can't my whole life kind of be a vacation almost? So, like every weekend we can travel a couple hours and go see something completely new.
Yeah.
Right.
Why not be able to do that?
So you guys have been on the road for 2 years now then? Is that, you said 2017?
Yeah, we're coming up on 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
And what are some of the highlights, I guess, of places that you've been? I know it's kind of hard to
we were
narrow
actually
down.
just having a conversation like the other day? Like, what's our favorite place we've ever been, or highlights of
I think, well, because for the last holiday, which one was that? Memorial Day. We went to Yellowstone, and I think that was probably the best one that we've gone to so far. We don't live far from Arches, so we go down there quite a bit and go camping and stuff. But I think now that we've gone up to Yellowstone, that probably takes number one on the list so far.
Yeah.
It's my favorite
and not
place on
even
earth.
like, is it? Yeah. Oh my god, it was so amazing. I don't even have words for it actually. When I saw my first bison, and I
They get right up to the cars.
I think we have a video of them.
It's pretty wild. We have videos
right next to our car.
Like literally could have touched it almost.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
No, it's pretty incredible. It was like every time we went into the park, it was like not, oh my god, if we see a bison, it's like, no, when are we gonna see a bison?
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where if we get stuck behind another herd for 3 hours, like I'm gonna lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that place
it worked
is
out
awesome.
because too, the weather was saying it was going to be cold and rainy and stuff, and the whole time driving up there, it was, and we're like, oh man, this isn't going to be good. And then it actually cleared out, and I think a lot of people canceled because it really wasn't that busy. And so it worked out for us, and both days were actually really nice. And then when we were driving home, we just saw everybody going north from Arches and stuff because all their toys were covered in red clay. So we're just like, yeah, we definitely made the right decision to go north.
Yeah. Miss the crowds.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
I think though a lot of the good experiences we had weren't necessarily at national parks, but the smaller places, and just even
like Valley of Fire in Nevada was awesome. And the campground, you're just right inside those red rocks and all that stuff, and
legit.
It's limited camping in there, and I think we got lucky to pull in, and there was a spot, but that was a nice one there that isn't a national park. I think that one compares a lot with a lot of the national parks. Is actually better.
I never even heard of that place.
Yeah, I haven't.
And it's only a state park, but
where in relation to the state is that park at?
It's actually right outside of Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Far from Vegas.
That picture, if you have, it's like, well, right outside of Vegas. I think you're like, but no, I don't know. Just little trips that we've done, I think, were more highlights than some of the bigger places. I think crowds definitely deter us and upset us. So we try to
off times when it won't be so busy. And that's kind of another reason why we haven't gone down and done Zion and stuff yet. It's just because, I mean, it's so blown up because of Instagram and stuff. I mean, to do Angel's Landing in Zion, I saw a picture and it was just a line, and you're going to be in line for like 2.5 hours to go walk to the top of this thing. It's like, I don't want to do that, So that's kind of why we're trying to do what we're doing now, so that it's still busy because of everything online, but we're trying to, before it even gets even more blown up, which I think it's going to. So just trying to see it all now before it gets destroyed.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think that was the other thing that I was thinking of was yesterday we went on, it was just like a 6-mile hike, but I was just thinking about if we were doing this, when we were retired, I mean, hopefully we would still be able to do those types of hikes and whatnot, but there's no guarantee. So it's like, why not see the things while you're physically able as well? Why wait until you don't know? You don't know what's gonna happen.
Retirement
or physical capability, you just never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about finances too, like, should we save and, for a house or in, retirement and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. And we're always like, well, you could get hit by a bus tomorrow. So
that's what I say. I'm like, hey, tomorrow could be your day.
Things you want to think about. doing this lifestyle. But at the same time, we're not gonna just live to work. It's not
right. One of the things that we did want to kind of dive into, and one of the things that we had talked about before on a prior podcast, was how we decided the rig that we were going to live in. And talking with you guys, when you had the bus, was helpful to us, because you were kind of talking about some of the pros and cons of being able to get into certain parks and not into others, and some regulations and whatnot. So I don't know if you guys can kind of dive into some of why you went with the bus initially and what you're living in now.
Mhm. So I think we got into the bus originally because we did want to have essentially no bills. We wanted to be able to take the money that we made and go do fun things with it. And we wanted something that was our own. And
Right.
a bus is pretty badass. So really,
it was different.
It was different. So that's kind of why we wanted to go that route. And it was actually working for us great until we actually hit our first road bump right down the road in Moab. That was the first time we've really run into it, where, we called and they're like, what are you? We're like, oh, we're a motorhome, 40 foot. You towing a car? Yeah, sure. We're not really towing it, I'm driving it, but yeah, sure. And after 10 hours in the car, coming down from the Rockies, exhausted, I walk into the office, and now granted the bus looked like horrible.
Yeah,
it was covered.
Brown.
It was brown.
It's normally a white bus, but it was brown.
So
we didn't look the best showing up,
but it was late, and the lady's like, looks out the window, she goes, that's your rig. And I'm like,
uh-oh.
Yeah. And she's like, hold on. And she went into, and she like totally just like that too. And I'm like, and I'm almost in tears because I'm like, I had a really long day.
Oh.
The night. And she's just like, okay, well, since you already paid, you can stay.
They weren't gonna
let us stay.
Wow.
That was like our first real like, wait, hold on. What's going on here? So
we didn't even like because we did quite a bit of research on stuff.
It's not enough, but
like how to do the legal stuff, like through the DMV and all that type of stuff.
We were registered, title, or
everything is a motorhome.
Fully insured.
Yeah.
As a motorhome.
And so, but nothing like that ever came up on forums or anything else we'd read. So we weren't expecting that. And then to have somebody be like, yeah, if you didn't prepay, you're not staying here. And it was like, oh, because we're on our way to Oregon and winter's coming, so there's not going to be that campground. So we're like, uh-oh.
Game of Thrones.
I hope we can find somewhere that's going to let us stay. And
so then we got to Oregon. There was a KOA, and they let us stay. We actually were going to set up to do monthly stays there.
Right.
And they, after a couple of days, came up and said, yeah, you can't because you don't have a certain inspection sticker that all RVs have.
Which is like a 1,200 point inspection that these RV companies do. If you don't have that, then you can't get this special sticker and all this other crap. So
we couldn't stay there. So then I had to call this other lady at another campground who was so nice. Nancy, shout out. Anyway, Waterville Campground in Oregon. Who let us stay there, and she was amazing. And but yeah, so that was another thing that we ran into that we weren't expecting with the bus, is that people don't want you there. They think we're hippies, and we've heard stories from campgrounds that have let us stay, like like they wanted pictures and all sorts of stuff of the outside and the inside, just to make sure that we were like kind of a legit thing. Because they one campground in Arizona was like, oh no, we had a bus show up and like 50 people came out of it, they destroyed our bathroom.
Oh.
So I totally get it from like a liability standpoint,
And we're a self-build too, so the insurance part of it, it's
if there was an issue. So I mean, I get it, but it was really disappointing because we put a lot of time, money, and like that was our home, and just to find out that we were going to be turned away and we weren't going to be able to have this lifestyle that we dreamed of.
And I mean, you guys saw it. The thing was nicer than half the campers that pull into these places.
Oh, yeah.
It was beautiful.
It's nicer than some.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, nicer than some homes. That's what I've noticed with a lot of these campers. It's since you're on such a smaller scale, you can actually afford to do renovations and make it look really nice. I
We
mean, a
have
lot of
bamboo
these.
floors.
Yeah, like there's a lot of small campers that are like beautiful,
Yeah,
and they're nicer than some of the houses
they
that
really
we've
are.
seen.
This
you
camper
know?
has nicer floors than my home that I own in Aurora. It's hilarious.
And I mean, we had fitted our bus to have solar. We had the composting toilet, which wasn't glamorous, but it worked. And, you know, we had a pretty big water tank. So we could do a boondocking situation and be okay. With our jobs that we needed to have, though, we needed kind of a home base. Like, we couldn't leave our camper in the middle of the forest and trust that when we got back, there wasn't somebody living in it. So,
Yeah.
so we did need that kind of home base in being a campground. So we had to kind of start thinking about, okay, how are we going to live this way and be able to do this? So unfortunately, the bus did have to come to an end because
it went into retirement.
She'll come back out. But so that, I guess, if we were just talking about this morning, if we could still live in the bus or like stay in campgrounds with it, we would still be in it. That's how much we actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It had its little issues here and there, but I miss it. I think about it every day. I painted this camper to match the inside of the bus. Like, I don't know. It's just a piece of us that
it was more home feeling than the
yeah.
camper.
I was gonna say, because you guys, you know, you built it, so it's, you know, like that is your place.
I mean, we had tongue and groove pine ceilings. We
had,
you know,
I remember those
ceilings. Countertops, and you know, we made it, and it was more. A camper is just, it's kind of thrown together, so it doesn't have that homey feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit better now that we've painted it, but you know, you can just tell that it's cheaper made, you know, and so it's just not as, I guess, the homey feel.
Yeah.
We don't get it.
But we can get into any campground we want.
But we can get into any campground. So
I know.
We need to strive for equal opportunity camping, because that's borderline like absurd.
Or at least,
like,
you know,
no,
help
you can't
change
come in here because I'm
change
going.
the stigma.
Yeah, it's like they're already what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not good with words sometimes. Stereotyping you guys.
I can't mind read either.
I know.
So.
I'm hoping to will one day. So
I'm working on it.
Yeah. No, like they're stereotyping you guys right away just because you have a bus. It's like,
right.
And maybe if more folks like heard this and they have buses, we can all change the thing. Kind of like there's this one guy that I guess we follow on Instagram, the off-road schoolie or off-the-grid schoolie guy.
Off-grid schools, yeah.
Yeah, him. Like he's doing a lot of stuff for the bus community. With his YouTube, they go to like big bus meetings and stuff like that, and it's slowly getting there.
Navigation Nowhere, I think.
Yeah, he's from New Jersey. He's got a bus. We actually messaged him when we were running into this. We're like, hey,
do you run into this problem?
He goes, yeah, it's definitely out there. He's like, but I stay in national forests.
Yeah, he does a lot online, so he can just stay national forest or BLM or whatever. But he was like, yeah, I've ran into that problem before too. But a lot of the places which I wish more campgrounds would do it, but they're, you know, they were kind of okay. And then as soon as we sent them pictures, they were like, oh yeah, you're fine, come on in.
I think there's just the stigma, but so many buses now are nice. Like we passed a lot of like, no judgment, but holy crap, like we passed a lot of sketchy ones, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's like kind of where people are getting it from, but I don't know. There's so many nice ones out there. People are doing like really good jobs on them now that I don't know if maybe they will start seeing, you know, a shift in how campgrounds do stuff.
Because we do see quite a bit, especially out this way. We see a lot more going down the road. So more people are definitely doing it now.
Yeah.
I also think it's when you go to like corporate style campgrounds like KOAs and just those bigger campgrounds, they know they can tell you no because they're not worried about making money. But like the campground we're at is owned by one guy,
local,
and he's really cool. And it's like these kinds of campgrounds are the ones that will gladly accept anyone for the most part, because there was a bus here.
Yeah,
big
there
yellow
was.
giant bus just parked in the woods
We
behind
didn't
us.
get to go talk to them.
No, we missed
They
them.
left. Oh, okay, so if you would have known that before renovating the bus, would you have gotten like the travel trailer right away and renovated that to make it more homey, or are there other things that you don't really like about the travel trailer? Like, I guess, what are the pros and cons? You mentioned one of the cons is it doesn't really feel as homey right now. Are there any other pros and cons, I guess, with the travel trailer you ran into so far?
So going back to if we had known, I think, well, we originally looked at, I think like one like yours way back in the day, and actually almost pulled the trigger on that, but we didn't, and I can't remember why, or maybe it had already
I think
sold
it's
or something.
sold right before we looked at it.
If we had known all that stuff about the bus prior, I don't think we would have done it.
No.
I have no regrets that we did do it, but I don't think we would have done it
And
if we had known.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people were telling us, "Oh, buy a camper and do this with a camper," but we were just dead set on doing a bus. And then we weren't really seeing the negative sides showing up during our research. So we're like, no, like we're just gonna do the bus. There's no reason not to. And then, it started turning into the other stuff. But
so family, we went back. We're like, okay, we hate doing it, but you were right.
they're sort of right.
But no, yeah, we would have definitely done the camper first, and I think we would have probably just found something manageable price-wise, and just spent that extra money redoing it the way we wanted it.
Right.
And but I guess the cons, like the cons of the camper, you have slide out. It's like setting up's a little bit more involved. And I'm sure you guys, do you have any slide outs in yours?
Just one little one.
Yeah, our rig is pretty simple. Well, we actually,
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. We have a really small slide out. Only comes out like a couple feet.
Yeah.
And I broke the leveling jacks off the frame at the last campground because it was so soggy and they kept bending and the trailer was moving. We got this weird Pro Pride hitch. It was a mess.
Well, the ground, because it had been raining for like the whole month before we left, and so the ground was just, as soon as you put the jack down, it just sunk into the ground.
And then the camper would like fall backwards, and then the jacks would just bend.
Yeah, they just started bending out instead of holding.
Yeah.
So
I had to get like wood blocks. That was like the rough part.
For
this
setting
campground,
up wise,
it's dry, level ground.
Yeah,
I just like backed it in. We propped the tire up on like a 2x4 to level it, and we bought these little aluminum spin jacks, and they were great.
Yeah.
So luckily, like, this one's pretty easy to set up. You just kind of back it in and unhitch.
But I could see how that, if you have a bus, you just pull in and.
Yeah, that sounds a lot nicer.
Yeah. It was like put the chocks in front of the tires.
Yeah.
And call it good. Like, carry around a 3-foot leveler. I jump in the bus. I'm like, yeah, we're level that way. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Here, you kind of have to, we have 3 slide outs. So it's like, you gotta, when you pull in, okay, is my slide out gonna hit this? Is it gonna hit this tree or the electrical box? Which we did do once. We had like a millimeter of space.
You can slide some paper through it. That was
hilarious.
The accuracy. That's that.
Yeah. So you have to set up that story.
We gotta
the
tell
black
it now.
tank.
Oh.
You have a similar story.
Do you want to compost? Do you want to compost your crap, or do you want to soak up a tube and watch it go down the to an issue at a campground traveling? What do you call it? The lever that opens up the tanks, I guess must have shut. I don't know. Something happened. So we got to the campground. It's pouring rain. It's pitch black. We're trying to get everything set up because we had to empty our tanks. We had been traveling for a couple days. And If any campground's listening, I'm sorry. But when you opened up the cap to hook up the tube, and it literally just started coming out.
Oh,
like,
no.
Oh my God, mortified.
Oh,
Thing ever. And
yes.
like, these are like downfalls.
Yeah, she's like freaking
I'm
out.
freaking out with our neighbor then, because like we're yelling at each other. Our neighbor's like peeking through his little window, like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. But it happens. I'm sure it happens to almost everyone that travels, So it's not.
Well, she's freaking out, and I'm like, if you just stop freaking out, give me the hose so I can spray this away. And then the neighbor comes outside, and he's, you guys okay? I'm like, oh,
we're good. Thanks.
Thanks. Like,
I don't know. Like, I don't know what you do though. Like, I don't even know what to do. So anyway, we fixed that problem, so we don't run into that anymore. But these are just things that we never had to worry about, and I don't know. So
went through the same like learning curve of this is like our first campground where we have actual sewer. We're like, oh, this is great. We can use our bathroom now instead of like hopping over here. And I'm out for the weekend at a family wedding down in Madison, Wisconsin, or by the Wisconsin Dells. She calls me and I hear this squish, squish, squish.
Yeah, I'm like, our floor is squishy.
There was like literal water underneath
the
bamboo floor in the bathroom.
Swelling underneath the floor. And I thought that there was, because the tank is like right underneath that floor in the bathroom. And I thought something was like stuck and the fluid wasn't moving out or something was going on, but we had a couple of leaks.
Ended up just being a little O-ring gasket for the hot water that goes to the faucet in the bathroom.
And the toilet, right?
Well, yeah, after we fixed that, everything dried out, was fine. Then like a day later, we heard squishing again, and then the water that goes to the toilet was leaking, so we had to go get another gasket for that.
So that's definitely one of the cons of getting an old rig is that there's little things that start falling apart that you don't know about.
Anything gasket-wise is you need to replace it for sure, and it's usually a 50-cent repair.
Right.
Which is
a little tiny thing.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a pro about the bus being self-built is you knew if there was a problem, you had built it, so you know how to fix it.
Right.
And here in this thing, kind of running into that same problem, because like that's one thing we've noticed too. Like our toilet was being weird, like trying to flush it, it wouldn't stop. So we had to kind of keep getting the water, like pushing the pedal to get the water to keep going down. And now it's like somehow fixed itself. Our floor's starting to do something weird. So, I mean, if things now break, they don't really want you touching it. So and we have got a warranty on this. So if anything broke, you just call and they'll find someone close to you or something. But that's just, more money, and someone else now has to. You can't really. I guess you could, and you're pretty handy, but I don't know if I want you touching it.
I don't know. It's just you don't know where all the wires and stuff are. Like it's just you don't know where stuff is. So like I mean, on the bus, if I wanted to do anything, I know exactly where the wire I ran it, so I know exactly where the stuff is and what's tied to what and all that type of stuff. So I don't know. It's just different, and
it'll take us
figure
time to figure it out. But we've definitely, we bought this thing thinking, oh yeah, this is the layout we want. We wanted this and we wanted that. And actually we've ripped out so much stuff in this camper.
Really?
To try and make it something that we want to. Yeah. And even now I catch myself on like days off going to the RV store or whatever you call it and like walking through all these campers and being like, oh, I want this now, or I don't know. I guess I should just be happy with what I have. I don't know.
Did you guys look into, like when you first started, did you guys look into an RV or a tiny house, like any of the other options, or was it just like bus? I want a bus.
It was honestly, it was like we thought about an RV for like 5 minutes, and then it was honestly a bus.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, we saw that one video of that couple, and that kind of like sparked it. And then we just watched a lot of like Andrew Kearns. I don't know if you guys follow him at all, but there's so places he would go. And I don't know. Then we just got that idea of like we're gonna go see all these places in a bus, and that was it. I think we're thinking of more tiny home now.
Really?
Because our thing about this too was to travel around and see stuff, but also to
kind of scout where we want to.
scout where we want to sit down
Us
permanently.
Yeah.
Which could possibly be back in New Hampshire, but we didn't know. So we're like, well, we're gonna just do this for a while and see what places we like, and kind of check them out that way. But who knows? I don't
Well, actually, you know, one thing I did forget to mention that kind of pushed us into being a mobile, doing a mobile thing was because when we were in Delaware, we really kind of thought like, okay, we're going to be here for a few years at least. Let's look for an apartment. And we signed a year lease and we were there. I flew home at Christmas time to hang out with family. He stayed home to work. I literally landed. I was home for like 2 hours and he calls me and he goes, hey, I got to work and they told me I have a week and then they're letting me go because
they were just really slow. So I pretty much got laid off because I was a contractor at the time, but they were telling me the whole time leading up that I was going to get hired as a direct employee. So we kind of just jumped in with 2 feet. And then right before, you know, my contract was up, they were like, oh yeah, we don't need you anymore. And they were going to send me down the road. Luckily work ended up picking up and I got to stay.
It was like a miscommunication or something, but it freaked us out because it's like, okay, here we are, we're tied into a year lease. How are we going to get out of it? What are we going to do?
So we're like, we don't want to be in that position again.
We never want to be tied to something like that again.
Right.
And I know like now we have bills and we're tied to like these kind of things, but
at least we can go.
We can move with work if needed. Yeah. We're not tied to like a place to have to get out of. So
if it really sucks and we don't like the area or like the work, it's like, all right, hook it up, let's go.
See ya.
Yeah,
but,
a little more freedom.
It makes it a little bit better knowing that, you know, if it all does go bad, that you can just, all right,
or
whatever.
If you got let go.
Yeah, or if
that's the risk of being a contractor too. They don't need you. You're the first to go. So so being able to move and not have that kind of, I don't know, being tied to something. And I think that was the first thing. And then I think finding out about the bus was kind of like, okay, this is our way to do it.
Right.
So yeah,
when you guys were transitioning away from the bus, did you guys think about like what were the other options that you were thinking about and why didn't you go with those, I guess? Why'd you go with the travel trailer?
Budget was the big one.
Yeah. We didn't have time to renovate, so we knew we had to get something newer. But then it was coming down to the price of everything, you know. And then we needed to get a truck to be able to pull it. And then it was.
And when you say time, it was because we were in Maine. It's September. We knew we couldn't live because the campground we were staying at
closed during the winter
because they're all seasonal up there. So like, okay, well, we can't really stay. They're going to shut down the water. We actually stayed at the campground with no water for a week. And, so that was kind of like why our time constraints were what they were. Cause we're like, we know we can't stay here. We can't stay, in this part of the country. So we have to go someplace where,
we knew it was coming. So,
but I don't think a tiny house would work for kind of what we're doing. Even though they're really sweet and like I would love to do something like that.
We were on kind of a time frame, and we weren't close enough to home, my parents' house where we built the bus. So we didn't have a place that we could pull something. So like what I mean is we couldn't stay in Maine in the bus, buy something, and do another renovation. We were just far enough to where we wouldn't have been able to, you know, go back and forth to work on it.
Yeah.
I think we were still like a good 3.5 hours away up in Maine from where we live in New Hampshire. So working all week and then having to drive down on a Friday night, you know, we wouldn't have really had enough time to dedicate doing a renovation. So we kind of had to go with something newer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And we've been looking at RVs all summer, kind of gearing up for doing something like that. And it was, do we want a fifth wheel? Do we want a travel trailer? The fifth wheel, it's like, okay, we have to get this ginormous truck to pull it. And we can't really afford that. So, okay, we have this truck size that we need to work with. Like, what can we tow?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what put us in the travel trailer kind of thing. And we thought, actually, do we want to get a motorhome where you can drive it just like the bus? But thinking back to the bus, and we could have gotten a tow set up, I think, with the bus and towed the car.
We could have, yeah.
But it's like, okay, now you have 2 vehicles. You have to
Pay for gas.
you have gas, you have all this sort of stuff. So I think that's kind of what led us to what we ended up getting, was just that.
Kind
and
of
now I had a second car.
what kind of truck did you get?
Chevy 2500.
Oh,
That's
big boy.
In 2018.
Yeah.
Oh, dang, brand spanking.
Yeah, well, that's we were.
I'm still dreaming
looking
about
at used.
a new truck.
But yeah, we were looking at used trucks, and I mean,
what they're asking for them. It's like you might as well just spend the extra money, get a brand new one, get the warranty, and then not someone else's problems. Kind of is how we looked at it.
Because they did pull out a used truck, and I mean, it was just beat. You know, it was a construction truck.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's fine, but I'm not going to buy somebody else's old problem if I'm going to spend that kind of money. So I said, well, I'll just get a new truck.
So yeah, that was the first ouch purchase.
I was like, ugh. And then after that really, looking at the budget with that thing, really kind of decided what we would get for a camper, because it's like, all right, now we have the truck payment, and then what are we going to have for a camper payment? Do we really want to be spending that much money? So.
But it's working out.
Yeah.
But now it's like we kind of fell back into it. Now we have to work to pay for these things, and we still go off and we do fun things. But I think that
we're tied down a little.
We're tied down a little bit more, which we're not really excited about.
Yeah.
So we gotta figure it out.
But I think that's important to mention, just because, like you were saying before, there's kind of this picture of this perfect on the road lifestyle, of like beautiful scenery all the time, and but then there's the other side, like how much do you want to invest in it, and what is your budget, what type of rig are you gonna be working with, and like because there are bills that come along with those things too. It's not just
I think a lot of people
free life.
Don't see that as much. Like when I see guys' Instagram, like, God, they're having fun every day. But in reality, you guys are going to work every day, just like we're working every day. And I don't think enough people really show that portion of this life, which I feel like kind of should a little bit more, just so people understand. Like,
and I feel like we
gotta
should
work.
do that,
or at least talk about it.
Right. Yeah, I think we should show that a little bit more instead of just always perfect.
But I just think in general, like the the community, because there is like this community of people who are living on the road doing this lifestyle, like just to be a little more transparent in general, not like you guys, but just in general the community. Because even like you were saying, when you were looking into this lifestyle, you didn't really see the cons of living in a bus. Like you couldn't even find it anywhere, so these things just need to be talked about more, just so people get the realistic view of what this lifestyle entails. Like sometimes you gotta throw out poop if you got a composting toilet, exactly. Or like someone else has to hook, like you hook
so
up.
Embarrassing.
Well, no, but it's like you hook up your your waste thing. Like we do that. That's not like someone else doesn't come around and hook up your rig. Like that's part of the lifestyle is that's just like the non-glamorous part of this type of lifestyle that is just real. Like,
and then just the white knuckling of just driving this giant thing behind you and your truck's like trying to go and you're like and like it's stress. It's stress all the time until like a weekend you're like, all right, I feel like I'm a little settled. And then like the month is over, like we have a week left here. We're like, what the heck? Where 3 weeks go?
Yeah.
And now we have to move another 7 hours east. So it's this repetitive stress.
It's just different
awesome.
Types of stress,
It's this kind of stress that I feel like is better than the chronic stress you get like working in an office every day.
We're choosing this stress.
Yeah.
This is self-induced stress.
Did you guys have something else to say? before we
No, it was just
ask our next question?
being prepared to have issues when you're on the road too.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a blowout in Arkansas with the bus, and that was the first problem we really had going back and forth, and it was like, uh-oh. And we're on the highway and it's just trucks everywhere and all this stuff, and we're on the side of the road with a flat tire in a 40-foot school bus.
But that is something that you will find traveling. If you have a problem, you are part of a community, regardless of what you're in. And someone's always going to be there to help you. And I mean, we had a flat tire with the bus. We limped it to this garage. We pulled in, like, help us. And within an hour, we had a new tire and we're on the road. So, I mean, places are so willing to work with you.
$100 too.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it was like, and they even said, they're like, was that fast enough for you? Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like, even though you're going to hit some stressful times, you're like, just know you are part of something that, there's going to be people out there.